We're going to start the meeting. This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Franklin Township Environmental Commission in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231. Adequate notice of this meeting has been posted. Roll call: Rosalind Rosini, Sil McAvoy, Diane Podesky,
Here.
Robin Saddam, Arnold Smith,
Here.
Stanislav Stan,
Yes, here.
Walter Andrews, Paul Walensky,
Here.
Jessica Johnson.
Here.
Okay, so we're waiting for Ted to come.
Ted is here.
Hello. Okay. I thought I had my agenda here. I need another device. So we did a roll call.
Do you want me to open it up and share my screen?
Yeah, if you can do that.
Hold on 1 second. Bear with me.
Thank you so much. Like you go on a yacht there or something.
Me?
Well, I'm just looking at the windows. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm not. No, I'm in a house. Hold on. June 1st agenda. Okay, here we go. And now I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Here it comes. Yes.
All right. I can't see that.
Chair report.
We did sunshine law, so now it's time, and you did roll call, so now it's time for the chair report.
Okay. No, well, the chair report, not a lot going on that I want to share. You know, I shared with you all about the Highland Park, I'll call it solar project, where they have located and have up and working solar panels to supply energy to the township, located on an old landfill. And, you know, I just thought it was so interesting that they've got that up and running and everything, and it would be nice to know the genesis of that. So I suggested that, you know, maybe we discuss it a little more and see if maybe one day, under right conditions, we could talk to some of the people and sort of go out there to the site. I just think it would be very enlightening to us. Yeah.
It has battery capacity equivalent of 20 top line models, Tesla models.
Absolutely. That's the new setup. Okay. And we're going to be talking about the story of plastics and other things that ANJAC has put up. But, you know, I certainly would urge us all, since we are members and we pay, the township pays dues for us, take advantage of their online training. I know Stan has taken advantage of a lot of them, but online, of course, is much easier. I guess that was a point in the past where, you know, you had the option of going to a particular location, and some others were online. But look, because of the current conditions, I think they're all online. Nevertheless, so I would encourage you to take advantage of that. And the next item is the minutes, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, the 3-2 minutes, because there was some corrections to be made, and they have been made, we would like to vote on approval of those minutes, and then I can send them up for posting. So have you all had a chance to review the corrected, I'll call it, minutes from 3/2/20?
This is Robin. I just have a question about excused absences versus other absences. I notified you, Walter, that I would not be at that meeting. does that constitute an excused absence or a non-excused absence? Just so we know the rules going forward.
Yeah. Ted is the expert on that. I don't know. Arnold, do you know anything what excuse as opposed to a regular absence?
I think we even make records of that.
Okay, well, the minutes reflect some people as excused as me just absent. So because I did notify you in advance, I just
Okay. All right.
don't need any more of a black cloud over my head.
Oh.
Walter, as far as I know, it's pretty arbitrary as long as somebody notifies
Yeah.
you know, that they're not going to be able to make it. Of course,
Okay.
notify you every week, every time for the next 3 months, then you start thinking about it. But it's relatively arbitrary as long as the person lets you know.
Okay. But
That's my understanding.
I can understand Robin wanted the record to be she did notify me, and if I didn't notify Robin, did you just notify me or did you send it out to the group in general?
I don't remember. I'd have to look up my emails, but
Okay.
I did let you know. I know that.
All right. Well, can we approve the minutes with, we're going to correct Robin's absence before, you know, it goes up? Or do we have to wait until next meeting?
No, I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay, with that correction. Okay, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so
Thank you,
I'll make
everybody.
sure that, that Ted or I make those before those are posted.
Okay.
Now
Thank you.
for the, what is it, the 418, Ted sent out something today saying that the gentleman from the Institute, Watershed Institute, had pointed out some corrections that need to be made, and he's not here. So I guess we can table that one until those corrections are made.
Ted is here.
He is here. Okay.
Yeah. He's on mute, but he's here.
Okay. Ted.
I've made those corrections.
So,
The very last thing I just sent you, the paragraph with changes that correction was made in the minutes.
okay.
I
So,
move we approve as amended.
Second.
okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye for the approval of the 418 minutes with the corrections.
Aye.
Okay. Very good. Okay. I'm having trouble. What's the next item on the agenda there?
Website.
Next item is a website, email, and social media.
Okay.
So,
Can I make a comment
I
about the?
was so focused on figuring all this stuff out. I had not the email this week, so I do need to check it.
Okay.
So
Well, you've been busy, and you know you certainly excused if you.
but I can do that when I'm not.
It has hand up.
On the website, it still shows our 2018 goals.
Okay. Yeah, you've been pointing that out, and I'm going to personally correct those. And I'm also, you know, a little late in doing the annual report, and I'm halfway through it, so to speak, and I should be finishing up that certainly by the end of this month. And that the goals, certainly the goals haven't changed that much, but we have updated them, and it's just a matter of probably an oversight. And I will make that correction.
And maybe you might add, Walter, that the commission would like to begin looking at the possibility of a community solar array.
Oh yeah, okay, we'll do.
That might pique a little attention from people.
Okay.
Yes, I copy that. This is pretty hot these days. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. All right. Next.
Next is plans review. We only had one, you said, and you gave it to Paul. So
Yeah, Paul.
I've looked at the plan, and this is the little shopping center at the corner of Veronica and Hamilton Street. And what they've applied for is a variance because they want to be open 24 hours a day, which the rules don't let them. So there's we already approved the thing. It doesn't change the environmental aspects at all, other than more traffic. But I don't see any environmental effect that we need to be concerned about it from the commission standpoint.
Yeah, that's what I think Ted commented that's what he expected. So that's
Yeah,
good. So you can report that.
I'll report that, yes. Does anybody have any objections?
What about lights and noise? That would be an environmental concern.
Noise is, unless they get the trucks coming out of the LG warehouse, up on Veronica, which isn't open yet. There shouldn't be any more noise than there is now. It's not busy at this point because there's only, I think, 2 stores up, the 7-Eleven, and there's a hair supply place that's there.
How close are the closest residential properties?
It's not, because if you go up Veronica, it's all commercial. And that's
What about the other side of Hamilton?
What about behind
Another
them?
side. Yeah.
Behind them?
Behind them behind them is another gas station on Hamilton.
The other side of Hamilton has spoken up about this.
Ah, okay, the ones on the other side of the street.
That is
Suggestion
residential.
for plans as we moving ahead. I think even if someone is individually assigned to look at the plans, I think it will be helpful if everybody is sent the plans so we can at least look at them on our own, or when they're being reviewed, we have visuals to look at.
Yeah.
Because if I had the plan, I could bring it up and show it to you right here.
Yeah, if we can at least see it on the screen shared, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. Before
This
last
one
meeting,
is
I
one
did
thing I think
share.
Moving forward, we should consider it.
Last meeting, I did share them all, and this one, because I guess I thought it was minor, but you were right. I should have shared that with everybody, even though I had assigned it to Paul. And going forward, that's what we'll do. Okay.
But the objections, and at this point, Ted, are really from a noise standpoint, traffic that doesn't really get into what we do as an environmental mission. I mean, the trees are the trees. That was done before when we first objected when they started to build the site.
I agree with Cecile. What about lighting? Do we have an ordinance that talks about night lighting and it being environmentally friendly, animal friendly?
It's a lighting ordinance, yes. And it talks about foot candles at the edge of the property.
Does it talk about, does it address wildlife at all and how lighting can affect even animal life?
Oh,
I wonder if it needs to be updated in terms of being more environmentally. That might be a bigger project for another day.
yeah. It actually is a copy from the Eatontown ordinance. And we made some changes to it.
And how long ago was that addressed? Or was that looked at?
Maybe 2 years ago, Ted?
Oh, okay.
Something like that.
So pretty recent. Okay.
Is that it being posted?
The other direction.
Oh, there's the,
You need to go northwest, Jessica.
oh, this is Veronica.
Where's the address of where they're doing it?
It's you need to go northwest. There you go. Okay. Yeah.
There's Veronica. Where's,
And further
where's
north.
Churchill?
Yes,
There you
here.
go.
Yeah, right. There's, right on the corner. There it says 7-Eleven. That's the site.
Yeah, that's a quarter
Okay.
mile from my house.
Wow. Thanks, Stan.
Look at
You
all
can
that
see-
parking lot.
This side, it's all commercial, but across the street,
Easton Funeral, yes.
there's a couple
And
houses.
on the other side of Hamilton are some residences.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, there's 5 or 6 there.
I bet you Mrs. Carol Peterson will come in and complain.
Well,
The
what's
residents across the
hours now,
street.
Ted, how late are they open now at night? Till 10?
I don't know.
The residents across the street, the concern can be the cars that come in as far as making noise, radio blasting, things like that. Also, whether there's trucks coming in that are taking the garbage or anything like that. But the biggest thing, I mean, garbage was probably a concern during the first phase of reviews. But as far as cars coming in late at night, teenagers or young adults going there after going to a bar and having their radios blasting, things like that could be a
Right.
concern.
Yeah, I can see where noise and lights would affect those residences
Yeah.
across the street.
It's a good comment, yes.
There's supposed to be cutoff from on that lighting ordinance. They are supposed to be down, and it only goes to the edge of the property. So across the street, well, it's within the 200 feet, of normal zoning. The lighting ordinance would drop at the curbside.
But what about cars coming and going?
Well,
Wait a second. What is this picture? It hasn't.
this is Hamilton. You were on.
That's Gleason.
Won't let me
It
like.
says Hamilton on the side on the street. In Veronica.
Oh, because it is not there yet.
Oh, this picture was before it was built.
Probably.
Yes.
It looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the old woods.
Because it was built just a year, 2 years ago.
Right.
All right.
I was trying to give a sense of what it
Yeah.
might be like for those people. All right, well,
Well, I can make it a mention about noise and lighting.
And lighting.
Okay. All right.
Are the immediate neighbors going to have what to say?
They should if it's a variance request, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's why I said that the 200 feet boundary will be on the
I will leave it up to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
are we good on plans? Can we move on to?
Thanks. Yes, we can. What's next?
New
New
business?
business.
It's updating Township stormwater ordinance to include green infrastructure.
Oh, yes. Ted and I talked briefly about that. And Ted, you want to share what the status of things, or your perspective is on this, and your talk with I guess Carl Houck, etc.
I had emails back and forth with Carl Houck. I mean, he did listen to our last meeting and he wrote, well, I guess we better start revising our ordinance. So it would seem to me that a way to deal with this would be for Carl, who certainly knows the existing ordinance better than we do, to have a first shot at revising it, and then the Environmental Commission have a look at it before it goes further. But I'd have to try that out on him.
Makes sense.
Okay, Ted, why don't you do that? I mean, is Mark involved in that at all? Mark Healy?
Well, I don't know. Mark handles ordinance revisions, but this is really a technical engineering thing. And in fact, Rob Russo from CME will probably be involved.
Okay.
Probably I should start out by asking Carl and Bob Vornlacher, how they propose to proceed.
Ted, how is this different than what you, Mark and I were working on a few years ago? Is this the same document, the same ordinance?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
It was a water ordinance where we were talking about the stream corridors and, the setback.
It's the stream corridor
Yeah,
ordinance.
that's different, I think.
Okay, all right, this is different then.
This is stormwater. Okay. Wow. Okay. So Ted, if you would, broach that with Bob Von Lonker and Carl and see what type of feedback we get, and we can just, give us an update as we go forward.
Ted,
Okay.
can we get copies of this in the meanwhile so we can look at it and be ahead of the game a little bit?
Ah,
Mike Pizarro was going to send us something, the actual state proposal, but he hasn't so far.
That's the model that he was talking about?
Yeah,
What about our existing ordinance?
that exists. I looked at it a year ago when we were doing Sustainable Jersey, but didn't do anything with it right then. I have to see whether I have it on my computer. It's certainly findable in the township ordinances.
I mean, I don't mind looking for it, but sometimes you look and you're not sure if you're looking at the right thing. That's why I'm wondering if somebody can send us a copy of it.
I'll see.
I see that. Is Diane trying to speak? I don't hear her coming through. Jessica?
Hold on, let me get to participants. Diane, you're not muted.
I'm not trying to talk.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
You can hear me. That's good though.
We can hear you. All right, now
Stop not trying to talk, Diane.
Yeah, I copied that.
Great. So
Next-
are we good on that item? Are we moving on to the next one?
Yes, we are. That's the story of plastics. How?
Oh, no, the next one is actually maximizing WebEx EC meetings.
Oh,
with-
yeah.
Yeah, Walter mentioned about this.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think sharing all documents beforehand will be important.
Yeah, I agree.
I think even if anyone needs educating on or a review of their technology, I think it's important to get in touch with Bob McQueen, because then he can set up some time to run through with you.
Yeah.
If you Walter, the iPhone seems to work great. I mean, I think the hardest part is trying to read everything, which I can't blame you. But those were my suggestions. Does anybody have any other suggestions?
Well, I just wonder for the public, since we're an open meeting, if Bob McQueen could post twice a month where he runs a WebEx how-to, so members of the public might feel more comfortable coming in. I think if we're going to do some of our governance this way, which I think might be a good idea in part going forward, that we just make some training available to the public. Nobody shows. But at least, and it would apply to any of the committees, commissions, whatever for the township. But it might be something to suggest to Bob McQueen.
All right. I mean, Walter, who do you think is the appropriate person to make?
Yeah, I'll do the contact and see what his response is. But I think it's an excellent idea, Robin.
And
Excellent idea.
I think we might even think about, since we are the environmental commission, that if we alternated meetings, like the first of the month after the COVID restrictions are lifted, maybe we do one meeting in person and one meeting on WebEx. First of the month live, second meeting of the month on WebEx. I think we should be open to those things.
But
Well, WebEx.
we have to all agree on that.
Yeah, clearly.
I have to say, as much as I see the benefit of people not coming in, I also think the face-to-face and having our faces be available to the public is also really important.
Yeah, well, that's why I think if we alternated, it would, and then, if people are traveling, if you got one that's on WebEx, people can access it even when they're traveling. Assuming some of us will be able to travel again.
I'm actually thinking WebEx could have a tutorial that Bob could share instead of him having to do it himself. It could
Oh,
be
yeah,
something
it might be.
it could be when we see that, hey, there's a public meeting, then that tutorial goes with it.
Right, you log in a half hour early, do the tutorial.
Well, speaking of traveling and being out in the area for meetings, Theo, I don't know where you are tonight, but I know for our last meeting you were coming in from Texas. So there are ways, even if we have in-person meetings, I know that people can call in at times. I don't know if people could do WebEx while we are live in the municipal building. I don't know if that's an option.
Let's see, why not? I mean, I think unless there's some sort of.
I think it's not imminently relevant at this point.
Well,
I think it's
Well,
something to think about down the road.
it's relevant, the aspect of what Robin is saying, alternating if we were to do something like that. I personally like meeting in person. I'd rather do
Me
that.
too.
But
Absolutely.
if we're meeting in person, it would be nice if there was an option for somebody who was in Wyoming or in Texas, that they would be able to join the meeting, whether by audio or visual and audio.
I've
So
offered to call in for previous meetings, but nobody ever responded with a phone number, so
Really?
I missed the meeting.
Well, we're talking about it now, and I think it's a good thing. And I think that maybe when Walter speaks to Bob McQueen, maybe that's something that he can speak to him about also.
We could
Okay.
figure out a way to put a camera in the council room.
Well, there's a camera. Well, there's a camera to
No.
record us. It's not a two-way. For the other in the other room, we have this. Maybe that's the answer is on those days where we have somebody calling in. I can bring my laptop. Plus, I'm the person. Then we could easily somebody in and have them be on the screen.
Good. I think we have to be flexible that way going forward.
Yeah.
I definitely think
Walter, will you find out what the rules
I
are?
will. I definitely will. And if I don't share something online with you, I'll definitely have it by the next meeting. I know Bob's pretty busy these days, but nevertheless, thank you.
Yeah, he had to like under fire educate a whole lot of people.
Oh yeah.
So he's been a really good attitude. He's
And we may not be the only group asking about this, so.
right.
Absolutely.
He's been
Okay.
a lot of.
I have one issue though with performance. I don't feel that WebEx works as well as Zoom. So I'm just wondering why are we really restricted that we can't try a different?
I asked Bob the last.
It's a matter of security.
Yeah, I asked last meeting.
Zoom is not secure at all.
Not true though.
Rezwan, I asked that
It
specifically.
doesn't matter whether it's true or not. Because the township
allows.
wants to have WebEx, that's it, and it's good enough.
Stan is right. Stan is absolutely right.
And Bob said Zoom is off the table.
And there's no other.
WebEx is the only one that is secure enough to not be hacked.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen if it happens? It's a public meeting.
Well, can I give you an example of what could happen?
We had it at work, Rezwan, where we were doing Zoom sessions with players, and someone came in and put a whole bunch of racial slurs all over everything. It was very embarrassing. So,
Okay.
and uncomfortable for everyone involved. I certainly don't want to be in.
Again, what happened, Jessica?
Somebody hacked into a Zoom chat session and put a whole bunch of racial slurs all over.
So I thought they addressed that with the latest rollout. And then the other thing is that would be the equivalent of we're having a meeting and somebody runs in and starts yelling. And we're like, oh, that's completely.
If you want to raise it again, we can, but I know I specifically asked, is Zoom off the table? And the answer was yes.
I was told the same thing. Yeah.
Okay, but like the quality of the meeting,
No.
isn't the quality important? Like, what do we want this for? We want to have fun meetings that people want to attend, you know, and the public enjoys and gets something out of. So we have to weigh that and maybe bring that back up. I don't know.
Rezwan, this isn't something that's debatable. This is something that the township, who we report to, who put us in these positions, and this is their meeting, and they're the ones that told us this is the platform that we can use.
Okay.
It's the same with the Google stuff, you know.
I would love to use Zoom also. It's easier. It is what it is.
Arnie, were you on the mayor's? The naked guy came on.
Right. Yeah.
Diane?
Hey, Diane. Yeah, that's the example that I was going to give. The mayor was having one of his town hall meetings. I think it was the second one. And some guy came on naked or something like that.
But wasn't that WebEx?
No, that was Zoom. And since then,
It's on Facebook Live.
on Zoom.
Yeah, that's right.
Why are they letting him do that if we can't?
Well, they have a pin.
Ken?
Yeah, but mayor was doing a town hall.
No,
That's a township
no.
function.
That was not a township. That was not a township function. That was the mayor's. He was doing it as a personal thing, is my understanding.
Well, I get the email from the township. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a good question, but it's my understanding it wasn't an actual township sunshine public meeting sort of thing.
That's correct. Yeah.
But he's still using Zoom because now they just use that you need a password to be a panelist and the public watches it on Facebook. But
Wow.
we're not allowed to use it, but it's still allowed.
There should be consistency.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't see why, if you really don't like it, go say something.
All right. Bug somebody. I'll go bug them. Just bug Bob McQueen or who I bug?
Down, so
Well, I think you need to attack higher level than Bob McQueen.
he's just a messenger, really.
He's also on this call, so.
No, he left.
Oh, he did?
Oh,
Okay.
we did.
I think he would have already spoken up.
No, he is still here.
Is he? Hey, Bob.
He's a participant. He's a listener. He's an attendee.
So he's a public. We've got a public.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't open it to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the agenda.
We're still now we're going to the third item, which is the story of plastic.
Even if it's not open to the public, they can all still hear what we're saying. Doesn't mean they can talk, but they can hear what we're saying.
And it's being recorded. Okay, so story of plastic. How many people have watched it?
I did. It was fantastic.
Yes, I watched it on Comcast, Xfinity.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think because Discovery Channel is in our package, it was free. So my husband and I watched it the other night. There are a few commercials, but I had never seen any reporting from the manufacturer risk, and that was fascinating. I recommend it.
Yeah.
How long is it?
An hour and a half.
Yeah, even an hour 20, I think.
It's over 90 minutes or 85. Between hour and 2.
Okay. Well, there must be other opportunities. I had registered for it, and something got me off track, and I didn't catch it. This is through Anjac, online as a webinar. but I have to go back and I definitely want to access that. I see there are some others coming up, like plastics in the ocean and things like this, but I guess this particular one
Mhm.
is so broad based that you would want to have that under your belt.
Try,
So,
if you have Comcast, go look and see if you can access it.
okay, I do.
It was there.
All right.
You go to channel 1, go to search, put in story. I think I actually had to put in plastics and go through the list, and there it is.
You can
You can just say it into the microphone of your remote.
of your remote, yeah.
Yeah, if we have one of those. We have an old remote.
Anyway,
Yeah.
excellent.
So I think the issue is that we wanted to have a community screening for our community. So Anjik had one, and that was May 20th. And we could have made that available. So the issue is, how do we make this available to the community as a community event? Because and the steps are quite simple. You sign up for, you go to the storyofplastic.com website, and then you complete a form, tell them the date you want it, and then they send you a packet of materials to communicate with people that we could go through the website and our emails and stuff. So all we have to do is set a date, and then they give you a link to the movie for free that anyone who has internet connection can log on anytime between, like, a week long, given like some time. They can log on and watch the film, and then we have a date where the community gets together and talks about it, and that would be like on WebEx. We could have a
Do we want to maybe do this over the summer when things have opened up a little more and do like an outdoor screening?
No.
That would be amazing.
Drive-in theater.
It could be nice, because if things are a little bit more open, people are going to be looking for ways to gather safely. Outdoor screening would provide that safety in that everybody could be a little bit further apart.
Does the township have the facilities? Do they have the projection and the screen?
They will have to rent it.
I feel like the library has something.
The library does films now.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm trying to remember, because I've gone to a screening there about local farmers. So I'm trying to remember if the camera was like on a cart or if it was something they had built into the room. But that stuff is also not terribly expensive to rent.
Yeah.
So if we needed to offer land, I would offer we have one lot that's been
I
rested.
think there is the lot in front of library and between the DMOD line. It's fantastic for that.
Okay. I just think it's something to consider. I think it'd be fun.
Also, the library offers online videos to members. I don't know whether this is in their package or not, but I'll look into it.
The library also runs a film festival, because we've watched documentaries, one of which and then you vote on them. And we saw one that was nominated for an Oscar at the library.
Right. So the only challenge would be this would have to be outside, right? Because we can't really have people inside.
Oh, because of the restrictions, you'd be limited to 25 people or something like that if you do it inside.
Even more when people are spaced out.
Yeah.
So let's get back to our goal, though. We want to, we have this plastics ordinance we're trying to promote, and so we want this story of plastics thing. So one thing, doing outdoor film screening is fine for things we want to do. Like, we want to do outdoor film screenings down the line. That's great. But right now, the timing, like, do we want to get people talking about plastics sooner? And this is free and online. We don't have to worry about other things, just going through their process. Like, I mean, is there a reason we don't want to try this free, already set up process? Because it seems like another issue, like a separate, like, hey, let's start having film screenings in public in Franklin, and sort that out. I just feel we've drifted.
We would need to.
The concerns about plastics have been put to the side because people are really concerned about getting sick. And so there's a lot of people are using more plastics, like people going to the supermarket. Like, I personally don't bag anything, and then I wipe it all down and put it in my eco bags in my car. But a lot of people aren't doing that. They're just using the plastic bags because that's how they feel safe. Mm-hmm. So I'm concerned that it'll fall on deaf ears.
So I think, but the movie itself is a bigger, deeper picture. So in other words, like you could temporarily be using more plastics for now, but like this is solving environmental problems isn't just a short-term thing. So, and this helps people see the bigger picture.
Yeah, I think Rezwan's got a point. The way the film handles this, it's about the redirection of fossil fuels. When they saw that renewables are reducing the need for fossil fuels, how the industry just redirected completely to manufacturing plastics.
And it's more addictive, so to speak, because
Yeah.
people got used to this convenience of not worrying about bringing a bag to the store.
We could do both.
Yeah, we could do
I
both.
just feel like I know that some of the people I've talked to about being more sustainable, they just don't care right now. So even if it is about, that's my whole worry, is that we'll make all these plans to make this available and then people won't watch it.
So maybe we have to pitch it differently. It's more like, hey, now that you've got this downtime of like, how are we going to reboot the world? And let's look, and this isn't just about the plastic ban. This is really how to reboot things. Like, let's dream.
Sorry that I'm interrupting you. Don't we want to first push the ordinance and then engage the public to actually follow the ordinance? Because right now,
I think the parallel works better. Like, hey, there's something going on with plastics. What do you know about plastics? Oh, wow, we've all watched this film, so we're more supportive of anything having to do with plastic minimization. Like, you want to build support, not like, here's an ordinance, and now here's why we had that ordinance. Like,
And Jack, or is it possible for the link? I know you said that the link can be downloaded for a screening. Are they comfortable if it's shared on social media?
well, it's a unique link to the people who sign up. It's free for those people. So you get a registration and then you send out, they have to register with an email and then they get the link for free.
Right. So if we were to share this virtually, each person would have to register, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where that whole library membership piece comes in. Could we maybe have it be the library? My thought is, if we can share it on social media and people don't have to register like that, they'll probably all watch.
But even if people have to register, now we've got an email list of people that we can, share more environmental news with, more environmental opportunities with.
Are they registering with us or are they registering with the movie?
I don't know. I think that's something to find out in reading their
I didn't gather
details.
that they were registering with us.
Well, we get their email and then we follow up with them. So it somehow is with us. I'm not sure because I haven't gotten the packet yet. You have to do that after you register, after you as an organizer.
I feel like I sound like the naysayer. I'm not trying to be a naysayer. You guys know how strongly I feel about plastics. But if we're going to collect email addresses, there's privacy laws we have to be concerned about. So we really need to make sure we fully understand what we're allowed to do with that.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
you're now talking about farming people's email addresses, which takes it to a whole other level that gets a lot of people upset about that. So do we even want to go there?
why don't we let Rezwan get the packet and see what the details are and then decide? She could send us out a summary of what she finds.
And if the
I think that's a good idea, just so that we can let the Red Swan get her ducks in a row and then come back to us with what she has.
There's a way.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
There's a way to post it on social media, and then when things open up, then do a follow up in support of the ordinance with a public screening. I feel like it would carry a lot of traction.
Well, it basically is a public screening because like it's a community screening and it would be as if you invited people to show up in person. You know how we had the screening at our live meetings, right? Or you have a speaker. So it's kind of like you get everybody, that's what it is. And they
but people don't have to give you their email address to come to the public meeting.
That's true. And the organization I had it with was Montgomery Green. So I don't know but they were an environmental commission. They do this with commissions. They've done it with other commissions. So there is precedent if that's an issue.
Maybe there is a way to post it on social media, especially considering the current environment.
Well, you post the availability on social media and then they write in. But I don't know what they say in the email, so
I suspect, having done some of this in a previous organization, by having people register, you can validate to the producers of the film how many people saw it. And by validating that, that's usually tied to the grant that helped produce the film. So they will say, we'll produce this film and we'll let it be not for profit, but you've got to validate to us that X number of people have seen the film. And then the money flows. So that may be what's behind this. I've worked on anti-drone campaigns, and that's how it worked. We needed to validate numbers so that it helped fund the production. I mean, you saw that film cost a lot of money to produce. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
So let's get the details in black and white and go from there.
So is there a movement for me to go and get the details? Is that what
Motion for Rezwan to go get details.
Support.
Second.
Yeah, all right, second. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Boy.
All right.
Thank you, Rezwan.
I'm like a naysayer, Rezwan. I'm not.
This is Mary. We know you're not thinking about traveling right now.
How'd she know I wasn't thinking about traveling now?
Jessica made the motion.
Yes.
Well, it was just for Rezwan to pursue
Getting the packet.
setting up a viewing.
Yeah, learning the details on what would be involved in during a viewing, a community viewing, and bring it back to the commission.
Yes.
Walter, do you think we can pull out some of these old business updates? It's getting long again.
Well, if you covered them sufficiently last time, we had a break. But I think so. The Boy Scouts, I don't think we need to.
There's
I mean, that's ongoing, but you got to remember that the gentleman who's behind this is one of the council persons, and we will certainly want to stay on his good side, but just to make sure that the availability to the Boy Scouts to become a part or help out in any way, that we keep that open. But that's about the extent of it right now. I mean, because of COVID-19, I think the whole thing has changed. But
all right, well, listen, if Boy Scouts needs to stay on there because we need to keep it open, then so be it. But I just think there's a lot.
yeah,
We're heading through the alphabet pretty quickly.
Just say nothing to report now and move on.
yeah.
Well, I think we did finalize the environmental stewardship awardees, right, Diane?
Not for 2020, but still have a while.
But I mean the list, the historical list.
I sent it to, I think I sent the list to Ted, didn't I? Or did I send it to everyone? I found Ted's list, and we just have to add one person that I know of.
Okay. So if we can do that, then we can post it, right?
I think so, but is Ted still here?
Yes. Well, I know you sent it to me and you suggested that John Walker for the groundwater contamination in Franklin Park was one who wasn't on the list. And I replied that he probably was in 2007 because the list didn't show any individual awardee that year. So that's about how long ago it was. So we just add him and then we can post it.
I think so. I think it looked complete to me except for John Walker, unless anybody can remember anyone else. Arnie, did you get a chance to look at the list? I think I sent it, but most people weren't on the list.
Arnie, you're muted. You're still muted.
Now I'm not. Diane, you asked if I looked at the list. I don't remember receiving a list.
I think I sent it to everyone, but I'll resend it.
Okay.
You're the only one on the commission that was, like, I was on since 2004. Anyone, I think you and I are the ones that have been. if you look at the list, if you think of anybody that's missing, just let us know.
Okay.
Ted included everybody from going back to.
Okay, so what else? Are we good
What's
on
next?
the historical list?
Yeah, well, it looks like we got, if we can find that individual to add, then perhaps we look at it once more and then agree to post, maybe at the next meeting. That makes sense? Okay.
Yep.
If that's a general consensus, that's what we'll do. Or we can vote on it.
Is that something that we need to vote on?
I don't think we have to vote on that.
No,
Just get it posted.
I know for Sustainable Jersey, I'm still compiling the list of gold standards and cross-referencing it against Franklin. I unfortunately didn't have as much time this week to work on it as I had hoped, or this past 2 weeks as I had hoped, but I'm still on that.
Okay. I'm sorry. What's next? I don't.
I mean, there's the stormwater basin retrofit program. There's the plastics ordinance. There's Franklin Times articles. There's the LED lighting application. There's the coyote program. There's a bunch of stuff. So I don't know what can be taken out.
well, you can take out K because that's done. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
Yay.
And stream cleanup has been pretty much canceled.
Yep.
So J
J.
is taken out as well.
Okay.
Is there an update on underground utilities?
I asked Mark Healy and he said that all development plans that have come in recently have the utilities underground.
All right, so we could probably take that one out too.
But there's no ordinance, so just because they're doing it doesn't mean they have to do it, correct?
Correct.
So that's the question. Do we want to talk about an ordinance that requires them to do it?
Yes.
I think that would be a good thing to have.
I agree. I think the Environmental Commission talked about this several years ago and it didn't really go anywhere. And I think it is a good idea to make it a requirement.
All right, I think if we go to them with another ordinance though, they're gonna turn around and say, where's your plastics ordinance? So.
Well, we can.
We can work on two
more than one
things.
thing
So before we dive into this, just a second thought about the stream cleanup. Do we want to attempt to make stream cleanup in the fall?
COVID permitting, I would say yes.
Well, that's what I mean, if we can hopefully plan on early October, and our partners from Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership, they will be only very happy to do it because Heather was, so to speak, crying when we just had to cancel it. So, and we could maintain the tradition.
I would plan for it, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen because of whatever circumstances, but I'd still keep it on the table.
Okay, thanks, Arnie. Do we
All
need
right.
to make motion on that?
I don't think we need a motion for that.
No. It's already
I
on
want
the.
to contact the watershed and see if they want to be involved.
Mm-hmm. Who?
The Watershed Institute.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I brought up to Ted the 3-mile run, which is where it crosses Route 27 at Phillips Concrete. Have we ever taken a walk down there and looked to see what that looks like on the Franklin side? I'd be
No,
happy to go do that. I suspect it's pretty bad because I look at the litter at the street level.
I'd be willing to do that as well.
Let me go take a look and I'll report back at our next meeting. And Arnie, if you want to meet me there, we could go take a walk.
Let me know when you plan on doing it and we'll work it out.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent. So That's boots on the ground. Go ahead.
Then to continue with the underground utilities ordinance, we want to initiate that. Ted, does that start with you?
What?
Theodore.
What are we on?
Underground utilities.
We went backwards because we started deleting K and now J is back in, and so we're sort of going bottom to top. So the underground utilities ordinance, as you guys have said, there isn't an actual ordinance. So if we're going to initiate that, Ted, does that start with you?
Is there a model ordinance we could copy, work off of?
Why don't we ask Mark
Ted.
to come up with something?
Ted, there's a question for you, Ted.
Ted.
What's the question?
The question
is, the underground utility ordinance started, does it start with you?
Well, I would ask Mark Healy about it.
Exactly.
And that will be the end of it. Well, I will say the Environmental Commission would like to have an ordinance requiring underground utilities in future developments. We'll see what.
Do you think it makes sense to go to them with an ordinance already drafted, or do you think it makes more sense to go and ask first?
I would ask first.
And can I ask another? Actually, Ted, I think I heard you say that people were already doing it underground.
Exactly, and then Arnie said, but we want to have an ordinance anyway.
So if they're doing it, it means they're already incentivized to put it underground, right?
But it doesn't mean they have to.
But if they're doing it, like there could be. Why? That's my question. It's like, is it cheaper? Is it better? Like, why are they choosing that?
Cheaper.
But they're still doing it.
But it's more reliable.
Yeah. In the long run, it's more cost effective.
Right.
So they are investing in it.
Outages and down wire. You don't have down wires and that kind of stuff.
I think it's a good idea to have an ordinance because eventually I'd like to see us get to the point where anytime a line needs repair past a certain point, that it has to go underground. Because not just new developments, we should be doing it everywhere in the town. If we have one at least that focuses on new development, it's a starting point to do more later.
The point is, it's not much more expensive if you do it when you're building the development, but to retrofit is a much bigger deal.
Yes, and that's why I'm suggesting once it's repairs beyond a certain point, I think we'll end up doing this 15 years from now. It will be a requirement. But if we have one on the books, at least for new developments, it would make it easier to expand that for other things down the line. I think it's a good base to have.
I agree.
All right, so I motion to have Ted talk to Mark Healy. Anyone's
support?
I do second. If that's
okay. All in favor of having Ted approach Mark Healy about underground utilities ordinance for new developments?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Wonderful.
I noticed Ted didn't vote.
Thank you, Ted.
Vote.
Another piece of old business. You had sent me that copy of that article about the medicine disposal.
Oh, yes.
And the objection I had to it was in the article, it gives instructions on how to mix medicine with your garbage and then put it in your garbage.
Whoa.
We don't want
That's something we don't want.
Well, can you draft up a response? Do you want to respond to her directly?
No, it's just something that, I mean, we've already got the disposal there at the police station.
Right.
We've had articles about that. We just don't need this article.
All right, I will I'll draft up a response and send it to you.
Was this the email that we talked about at the last meeting?
Yes.
Mhm.
Got echo.
Okay, so how about the coyote program? What's going on with that? Did you get another date, Arnie?
You are muted.
I freed you.
Yeah. Okay. I emailed with Michelle Smith at the DEP. She said the division is not currently offering education seminars via online platforms, but there may be something something they have available in the future. She'll let her supervisors know that we're interested and keep us updated.
All right, so we could probably take this off the list now, huh?
You can take it off, and I'll just, if something comes up, I'll let you know.
Then it would be new business again.
Sure.
The LED lighting application.
Well, it hasn't changed much. I do, when I get an opportunity, I keep putting stuff into public service because I'm on one of their panels. So it gives me an entree into whoever handles these energy panels. But I don't know if that's moved anywhere yet.
All right, so no update.
Yeah.
Are we doing an article for Franklin Times? When's the next issue?
Well, yeah, the purpose for having that is to have people think in advance and, before it's too late.
When's it would be helpful if we knew the date for the
Yeah,
next issue.
that's something that I'm not sure if they have it.
I think they're kind of in disarray.
Okay.
Because nobody knows. So they have a very early requirement for all the articles. And so we are in a situation that we don't know when this thing will reopen, right? So I think they're just waiting, I mean, we can check with, I think, Safi, right? You know what? I can ask her. Safi or what's the other lady?
It's Demianti Chivakula who Safi should know, though. But the point is, think up something you want to write an article about.
Well, I think we got a couple things here. If we learn more about this Highland Park solar project, we could simply say that the township's going to visit the Highland Park project or meet with Highland Park and learn more about it.
I think the story of plastic is also another.
That we're looking into having a community screening of that.
That would be a good one. Yes.
And
question I have, do we have any landfills in town? Ted, are there any old landfills somewhere in Franklin Township?
Not that I know of.
Well, there might be other ways to do this. In this particular situation with Highland Park, is it the municipality putting in the solar panels to help provide electricity to the municipal needs? Is that what they're doing?
Well, community solar is.
Okay, I know what community solar is. I didn't hear that used in the summary. Yes, so I'm familiar with that. I didn't hear that in the description that was used at the beginning of the meeting. That's what I was after.
Yeah, PSE&G is a vital part of that project.
I know in Jackson, Wyoming, they've done one, and the first round is just commercial. It's a commercial community solar project. So companies are buying a share. And their fee was helping to pay for that array. And then if that works well, they're going to roll it out to residential. So I think if we learned a little bit more about what Highland Park is doing, that would be enough to help make it something in a list in an article that we're exploring it. I think that would pique the public's interest.
I would agree.
Whether it's a landfill or some other space that we use for it.
Robin, I don't know if you've considered, since we don't have a landfill, but we do have a municipal parking lot, and they do put the solar cells in
on roofs
overhead.
Yep.
Over parking
canopy.
lot.
Yes.
Yep.
That
That
technology
would
is
be
already, yeah.
a much better alternative.
Yeah. I think there could be a couple of bright ideas of what we could do in Franklin.
Your point about the element there in Wyoming, if that
The
were
New
to be
Jersey
adopted in
League of
Franklin,
Conservation Voters has been bugging me about working on a community solar project.
if we were able to get businesses to buy shares, there's all those different industrial parks and industrial areas where all those roofs could be used to start building, because they bump right up against residential communities that could really create incentive too.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a combination of Highland Park and Jackson, Wyoming.
Right. Right.
It sounds to me like we need a survey of, or like an inventory of the available spaces that would be interesting, suitable for this sort of initiative.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then contact and say, hey, Highland Park did this. Do you want to, check out how they're doing it? Right? We want to be kind of a matchmaker, an instigator, like an inspirer.
I think we were starting, this was more about like, what do we do the Franklin Times article about? So we were saying that touch on the solar project, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, that'd be a good thing to put in the article. Like, there's this many spaces in Franklin Township that
like
are suitable.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's some not-for-profit that is really focusing on helping to get these kind of things off the ground and might have information on what are good physical locations for these, because we may need to think outside the box and go, wow, we never thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's good when we write article of that nature that we give people a reference if they are interested. Whom shall they contact? So I think that at this point there is no active solicitation for this solar community solar. Am I right? At least not in the township.
I don't know
I'm not aware
that
of it.
anybody's working on it.
Like 150 applications to the Public Utilities Commission to set one up.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of interest in it. But as I say, I really don't know where we would put it.
Mm-hmm.
Industrial properties are valuable as industrial properties.
In Montgomery, the middle school has a solar park, a park in solar. That's really, and Rutgers has.
Mm-hmm.
Diane, I have a hard time hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yes,
It's just hard.
It's soft.
Yeah.
Middle school in Montgomery has solar panels over their parking lot. Either
We have parking lots throughout the township. And this way you're not creating any more impervious surface by putting them over parking lots.
and the school's parking lot.
We have schools, we have other municipal buildings.
And don't they have
We
a
have
solar?
parks with parking lots.
Oh, we have Middlebush, yes.
And the nursing home on Delwood, is that nursing home on Delwood, Parker? They have a solar.
Yes, they've had it for years. Yes.
Yeah.
I think in
That's
Jackson,
the way to go.
I think in Jackson, they were doing it at their sewage authority, water treatment facility. I shouldn't say sewage authority, water treatment facility. So I think
That's New Jersey American Water.
it'd just be interesting to find what other communities are around the country are doing. And we might hear an idea that says we have one of those.
Article about.
Well, look, can we have a point person to sort of, do the initial digging to see what's out there and then sort of maybe formulate a.
Volunteered.
I'm curious. I'll explore.
All right,
Thank
I
you.
nominate Rezwan.
And if any of us read anything, send it to Rezwan.
Don't twist the arm.
Volunteered.
Excellent.
Like this.
I think it would make an excellent article for the Times from the commission. And the story of plastics or plastics in general is another one.
And we could also say we're looking at our stormwater management plans.
yeah, we need to tell people what we're doing. I agree. And it doesn't have to be long, but
The
it could
less
all
we
be.
say, the better.
All right, but I think we are sort of agreeing that plastics, solar panels, and stormwater ordinance, green infrastructure are things that we need to share with the public, if you will, in some way. And if it takes the time to do that, then we can do that. So let's continue to gather more information on these four, I'll call it topics for now. And
Hey,
I'm sorry.
oh, I was gonna say about the tour of the Highland Park facility. That's gonna be hard. Is there a way to virtually tour it? Do they have?
I don't think so. Do you know where the Kilmer DMV is?
No, but I could find it.
Do
Well, when you go off of River Road up towards the DMV, you pass right by the landfill. It's sort of hidden behind trees. The apartment complex, then the road sort of turns. Rutgers is on the left. On the right is where the landfill is for Highland Park. There's a lot of area there.
If you open the article that Diane just sent us via email, it gives you the address. Between
Okay.
South 7th and Crowell's Road and between Donaldson and Graham.
All right.
So, I mean, somebody could get in the car and drive there.
It would be nice if we could do it as a group, but
Is it publicly accessible without appointment?
I don't know, but you could probably drive on the streets and, at least see it. But to see the works, I'm sure you have
I
to
know
have an
the
appointment.
road that Walter described, and there was never anything visible from the road. So
yeah, it's sort of a setback.
And it's 1,764 panels, so
Wow.
Yeah. And it does say.
I would imagine that the access, is probably blocked and it's controlled. I don't think they want people walking around there. Probably because of safety things more than anything else, without somebody being there.
that makes sense.
But I believe that we could arrange something through. I know some people who know the officials in Highland Park, and I think they'd be glad to host us for half an hour or so, or show us through. And if somebody wants to take the lead to see if that's possible, the weather.
Actually, yeah, I
guess
would be
right now
quite
you're
interested.
right, because of COVID-19, it's a different story.
And Rezwan, this article says that it's the 5th solar storage system that PSE&G has built as part of its solar, the number 4 all program. So maybe a place to start is talk to PSE&G or go on their
Maybe so.
website, look up the Solar for All program.
How about that?
Sounds good.
Great. Yeah. And that article is a year old that we're looking at.
Well, I mean, Highland Park does have it. They're so small; they are able to implement
Do a lot.
of
Yeah.
things fairly quickly.
Yeah.
It's a benefit to being that small.
Yeah.
So
1 square mile.
It looks to me there's only really 2 more items. It's the stormwater basin retrofit program and then the one-use plastics ordinance. So, is there an update on the retrofit program or no? Who's running point on that?
Well, we had the presentation, I don't know, was it back in February? And it seemed like a very interesting program. And I don't know if, it's going to go ahead, and they're telling us how it works. And I guess it's sort of a different look, a little different technology from what they have done years ago. And apparently there are a couple of projects in Franklin Township. Maybe we can just inquire and to see where they might be with, I'm trying to remember the name of the one. Does anyone remember the name of the projects that they were looking to do or they had just finished in Franklin Township?
There are 4 projects under construction. And 3 of them I can remember the location of. The one on Laird Terrace, which is off Bennett's Lane. And that would drain to Middlebush Brook. There's a municipal detention basin somewhere between the municipal complex and Middlebush Park. There's one on Rue Gauguin, really between Middlebush Park and that development. And the fourth one, I can't remember where it is, but I know it's in the Cedar Grove Brook watershed. And the Water Supply Authority is always particularly interested in the Cedar Grove Brook drainage because that brook drains right into the canal. They want to minimize sediment runoff into the canal. There is a fifth one that is somewhere in the works. I think they've identified even other sites. And then was something that came out I'm trying to remember what it was, except I passed it on to Vornlacher and the mayor. I'd have to go back and see what I sent. Because I know I copied it to a guy at Water Supply Authority.
So that's what's hard for me with this is what are we trying to accomplish?
Instead,
Something where we're trying to help
what we're
them.
trying to accomplish are the objectives that Mike Pizarro talked about.
Right. So
delay runoff instead of getting it off as fast as possible.
Right. So I don't mean the actual,
as much as possible.
I don't mean the environmental accomplishment. I mean for us as a commission. Are we trying to help Mike Pizarro's team do more retrofits? Is that the goal? Or because we talk about it, but we're not really doing anything.
Well, and we got this Sustainable Jersey grant of $20,000 to which we will use basically to have the Rutgers Extension Water Resources Program really draw up design of other facilities to accomplish the same objectives.
Oh, that's excellent.
So I guess so our goal is to help retrofit more stormwater basins using this grant money with the help of Rutgers.
Well, there may be other green infrastructure technologies that will be proposed, but I think that's the main thing, particularly since infiltration is not good in most of Franklin.
I think we need somebody to run point on this and actually identify the places we want to target.
So now I'm confused. There's a $20,000 grant to help us execute some stormwater projects ourselves, or we're trying to educate somebody?
Design the projects, I think. Tara Kenyon wrote the grant, and she knows much more about it than I do.
Why don't we invite her to our next meeting?
Well, let me see what more I can get out of her. She prepped me with talking points for the award ceremony. I actually had 3 minutes on talk about it during the award ceremony, but I don't know very much about it. And I think that the Rutgers Extension people had already looked at places to do things, and this is going to be to really design and prioritize real projects. I know there was a meeting that I and Arnold Vernick went to a number of years ago, probably about 5 years ago, and they handed out stuff, and there were 3 projects they'd identified then, and 2 of them would be to put in permeable pavement at the East Franklin Firehouse and at Pine Grove School, and I've forgotten what the third one was.
So then maybe the next step with the stormwater basin retrofit program is to actually have somebody from the Rutgers Cooperative Extension come in and identify the areas they're planning to target so that we can help assist them in that. I just want to be productive with it because otherwise we just keep talking about it, but we're not really doing anything.
What if we had Rutgers and Tara, since she must have written a case. We don't even know what the case is.
Right.
And also, we're not sure what our role is, it sounds like. Are we facilitating? Are we just cheering on and telling the public that this is happening? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
And that's a fun
Sitting back.
to celebrate and share with the public. That would be another news story. And here's what's happening in your storm drains.
What'd you say, Stan?
Sitting back. That's what we are doing.
Well, I mean, because if that's the case, if we are just sitting back and it's just an update, that's fine. But I just want to understand it because then maybe it doesn't need to necessarily be that high on the list in terms of updates.
Would a phone call to Tara be enough to have us understand that? I'd be happy to call Tara. I don't mind.
Have you met her before?
No, but I email her all the time.
Oh, you do? Wow.
Yes. Not to any great results, and she must, we're working on that, Robin. We're working. So I actually would appreciate another chance to get in touch with her.
Well, Robin,
I'll motion for Robin to call Tara.
I would second it.
All right. Robin's all in favor?
Got an idea? You have to follow up on that.
Okay.
You know?
Stan, do you have any words of the wise to give me when talking to Tara? The way you phrased that.
No, that she is. No, I was just saying that she's in Manville. But she is working with our township with the green team and stuff. She's the planner.
Yeah. Well, that's how I know her because we're working on some preservation properties.
Seal, you are muted. If you are
That's
trying to say
I know
something.
what you're dealing with, Robin. That's not her fault.
She's
Oh,
with the open
Report
space
Tara every
committee.
Friday for like
Yeah,
6
open space. Yeah.
Right. And it's the attorneys and it's the surveyors and it's been a year and 2 months. So
Okay.
Ours
Very
took
good.
3 years, so I feel you.
I'll
3 years.
I'll find her.
Thank you. Wonderful.
So then I think it's time then to get to Stan's email.
I can share if you prefer.
Would you rather?
Yes.
Which email are you talking about?
It's the resolution.
Well, why?
Posting.
Well, before we get to that, why don't we deal with the original ordinance that we've been dealing on for a year or whatever, and when we finalize that, get to Stan's, because Stan sent it just about an hour or so before the meeting. I don't know if everybody had the opportunity to really go over it. I think it's a better idea.
I sent it around lunchtime, but yeah.
Well, it's a better idea to go over something that we've been going over for the last year.
I agree. If we just need to spend another half hour to get something that we all can agree on, because there are just a few minor details, I agree. Let's do that. And then we can entertain anything else that might be relevant to the plastics program.
Well, I don't know if there's just the final few details, but I still think it's what we should work on first.
Go ahead.
Clean or the red line version?
So what do you start
You
with?
want the clean or the red line version?
Purple line.
I'm looking at the clean one in my hand. That's what I'm looking at.
She can put it up on screen for us.
Can I start with my first comment on?
Yes, go ahead.
First I'm going to say that regardless of what we do here, based on what we put on before, I'm likely going to abstain when it comes to voting on this. It's a good ordinance. I'm just going to abstain because, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't go far enough. We talked about plastic, single-use plastic plates and things like that that I think belong in here. And since we're not going far enough, I'm going to abstain. With that said, my first comment on what we have, we've got some formatting situations, and then we've got some grammatical and wordage situations. And the first one is at the very top at the beginning, the first whereas, you have a number 1 before that, and I don't think you have a number 1 before the whereas, that starts below. You would start number 1 probably with the definitions. And if you look at the definitions on page 2, it goes from 2, and then you have after that parentheses 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is not appropriate formatted. It should be 2 and then A, B, C, D. But I don't think we should get into formatting right now unless we're going to approve this document. And if we're not going to approve it tonight, then I'd be willing to go over this with JJ offline, because JJ is the one that's been working on this to fix the formatting on this. So I would leave that later on. So that said, going down to 1, 2, 3, 4, the 6th paragraph, the first page.
How many pages are we talking here? 4?
3.5, I believe.
Okay.
4 pages, actually.
In that paragraph, it starts, whereas the council determines, there are 6 times it says single-use plastic carryout or single-use, which is a lot. And my only change, what I would suggest at the very end, which would only remove 1 single use, where it says, on the last line there, it says such bans and limitations have drastically lowered consumer consumption of single-use plastics. I would like to see change to such bans and limitations will decrease our human impact on the health environment of the only planet we have to live on.
That was like a mass exodus.
That was what?
An exodus. Everybody kind of left.
Yeah.
My keyboard anymore because it got dark, so I had to turn lights on.
Should I just repeat what I said for the end of that paragraph?
Yes.
You want to change it to, instead of, and that such bans and limitations have drastically lowered consumer consumption of single-use plastics. You wanted to have something to the effect of
Decreased our human impact on the human health, on the health and environment that we have to live on.
Am I making this edit right now?
You don't have to. I'm just asking if people are okay with that. And if not, I can give it to you later on.
Oh,
And
I'm okay with it.
Okay with it.
Yeah.
okay. So
right.
make it. We'll add that in. We'll do another.
Okay. Now the last paragraph on that page, unless I don't know how to read, that paragraph doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
This one?
Yes.
Whereas single-use paper carryout bags use as much or more energy and resources, including the harvesting of trees, a vital resource in the fight against climate change, to manufacture and transport than single-use plastic carryout bags and contribute to harmful air emissions. It's just commas all in the wrong spots. It is in the public interest to regulate stores providing single-use paper carryout bags.
Well, I know the word "then" does not belong in there, but besides that, it still just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think some commas. I don't know.
I think you just need to shift the commas.
Yeah, I think the "than" does. Whereas single-use paper carryout bags use as much or more energy and resources than single-use plastic. Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I think it should say carry out, it should say paper, oh, it does say paper. Single-use paper uses more than single-use plastic. It does make sense. It's just,
Well, if you take out the trees and vital resource part, where just for understanding, purposes, whereas single-use paper container bags uses nothing more energy and resources to manufacture and transport than single-use plastic carryout bags contribute to harmful air emissions. That's where the comma needs to be made. At least does that make more sense now?
You,
But I think this
you can't have,
this mucks it up.
if you put that in parentheses, it's a little clearer.
yes.
But also, you can't have as much or more. It's very confusing if you say more energy and then plastic, single-use plastic carryout bags. I think you'd want to say as single-use plastic use.
All right, Arnie, are you taking notes so that we can do edits later?
I can take notes or I can comment. I don't know that I can do both at once.
No, she's talking to Arnie.
Arnie, are you not taking notes on this so we can do our edits?
I didn't catch what Ted was saying.
Okay.
I can't write on this, can I?
You have your own notes, right? Ted, you want to submit them to Arnie and then he can give you.
Are we saying that, are you agreeing that that paragraph needs a full rewrite?
It needs work.
So rewrite of some kind?
Few strategic words can fix it, but
And perhaps use parentheses.
I mean, if you use parentheses, then the parenthetic nature of that phrase is clearer and you don't get as distracted from the first of the sentence.
I agree.
I want to change than to as. It needs work.
It does, yes. Why don't we just agree that that needs work and we can move forward, okay?
I agree.
Does anybody have any other comments on page 1?
No.
Then let's move to page 2. This is a minor thing, and this is sort of a grammatical thing that I'm not right. If you look at the definition of grocery store,
Scroll down a little, Jessica.
Food business, grocery
yeah.
store.
So it reads, means an establishment that primarily sells a full line of household foodstuffs for off-site consumption, including. I believe including should be, I think household foodstuffs, including should come right after household foodstuffs. So I believe the words for off-site consumption should come after the word sells. So it would be that primary sells, comma, off-site consumption, comma, full line of household foodstuffs, including. Pardon me?
That would be a little clearer.
Yes. Okay. I have that in my notes, Jessica.
Okay.
Anybody else on that?
That's good.
The last thing that I have on page 2, and it's just a formatting thing, in mine, okay, the very last paragraph, plastic food service, go down 1, 2, 3, 4 lines to the word reusable bag. I believe that should be a separate entity in itself. It's a
Separate definition. Yeah.
separate definition, yes.
Just hit the paragraph.
Yeah.
Paragraph.
All right, so you'll take note of that, Arnie?
I already have, yes.
Anything else on page 2?
Anything else on page 2?
On to 3.
Page 3, right at the top there. Single-use paper carryout bag means a carryout bag made of paper that is not a reusable carryout bag. Now, this is my personal opinion, but I believe that to put on the end there that it is not a reusable carryout bag, technically, this could be challenged in court because paper bags, we use them to recycle scrap paper. The next one's about plastic bags. Plastic we use for garbage and for cat litter and things like that. I would remove the words that is not a reusable carryout bag because they are reusable.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, we use them also for trash and that kind of stuff.
So I would just end the sentence after the word paper.
No, I think you could put single-use paper carryout bag means a carryout bag made of paper that is not intended to be reused.
Yeah, that is not intended to be reused for transport purchases from a grocery store.
Right.
That makes more sense.
Reuse it for.
That makes sense, Ted. Can you just that and say what you said again?
That is not intended reused for transporting purchases from a grocery store.
Well, no. I think if we start getting that specific, I think it's meant to be a little bit vague because this term is used in different ways throughout the ordinance. So we should be careful about qualifying this definition to be specifically for grocery store use. I think it makes more sense to just focus on the very narrow definition of the bag. And I think to say that it's meant, it's a carryout bag made of paper that's not meant for reuse. Okay. Same thing for the single-use plastic carryout bag. Carryout bag made of plastic that is not where its original use is what's the word I'm looking for? It's not intended. Original intent was not to be reused. Something to that effect.
Can't we try to get a hold of language that's been court tested already in other municipalities that have been doing this for a while?
Well, that's where I think the Lou Rainone draft comes in, because I think that's where he pulled some of that from.
And are these 2 definitions from his draft?
I'm not sure. Hold on.
Why don't we check that? Because if his has got a little more stability behind
So
it.
we no longer use the definition by NCHEC that it has to have stitched handles. Second, this is the reusable. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm already one step next. Yeah.
The definition here I'm seeing on codepublishing.com is, single-use carryout bag is a bag provided at a check stand, cash register, point of sale, or other point of departure for the purpose of transporting fruit or merchandise out of the establishment.
Yeah, I think what you just highlighted reads the same as what Rizwan just read. Could we not use that definition? And then just change for the second one?
Paper. I mean, I'm fine with that. What does everybody else feel?
I actually liked it. Can you say again, Razwan?
It's on the screen.
Oh, that one. Oh.
What is this from?
This is from Lou Rainone's draft. So we know this is a battle-tested definition.
That's single-use plastic carryout bag.
Right, but you can just change plastic to paper.
For the second one.
He also has a produce bag, or he has a recycled paper bag in here also.
He has a recycled paper bag. Produce bag or product bag. Bag without handles for meat.
No, the one below that, Jessica. Recycled paper bag. Do we refer to recycled paper bags anywhere in our ordinance?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's including them and we're excluding them.
So I think we take that same definition and just take out plastic and put in paper.
We do not refer to a recycled paper bag anywhere in our draft.
But we refer to paper bags.
But we refer to a single-use paper carryout bag. Well, why don't we use use the same definition, just change it from plastic to paper.
Well, the only time that we use paper carryout bags, I'm not sure, but I believe is just below that where we talk about where it's at least 10 cents per bag in grocery stores shall make available paper carryout bags for at least 10 cents per bag. I don't know if we use bags anywhere else in here.
Well, here, I'll go back and
Yeah, 'cause he's defining the paper bag so it can be used by specifying the recycling content.
so
That's what he's doing.
9 different times we use the term paper in this entire document.
Okay.
This is your 10-cent reference.
Right.
Each establishment shall be strongly encouraged to educate staff, encouraging customers to use reusable bags rather than recyclable paper carryout bags. So we say recyclable, not recycled. So the last 2.
I think we just update that definition and we keep going.
To what?
Second.
The one we just looked at in Lou Raynone's ordinance that is used for plastic, we revise our plastic definition to include that, and we revised our paper one to read the same, but just change the word plastic to paper.
We would have to modify this: a bag, sheet, or receptacle produced or manufactured from paper.
Right. Provided at the checkout stand, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Lou is going to review this, and he's going to, what he's done with his paper put is carved out an exemption for some of the paper bags.
Right, and all we're doing here is defining the term. We're not saying how to use it. We're talking about definitions.
He is trying,
Arnie, did you make a note?
I think Lou Raynone is trying to include paper bags if, as allowable, if they're
Yes.
recycled material. We have to decide, do we want to allow them or ban them?
Well, I think right now we're just trying to define them. So,
But your definition
about the definition.
by what you want to do with it.
I like using Lou's definition and then modifying it for single-use paper and plastic. Does everyone agree?
It's simpler just to quit worrying about single use for paper bags. Just define paper bags.
Okay, I move we define it with that extended definition.
A second.
What was the motion?
Just to use the definition as
to use the Lou Raynone definition for single-use plastic, use it to define single-use plastic in our version, and then modify it to be applicable to paper as well.
So you're talking about the whole any bag without handles that is used exclusively to segregate produce?
That's a produce bag.
Okay.
About the one that's highlighted on the screen right now.
Arnie, look at your screen.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at it here.
Highlighted piece right here.
All right, I'm looking at it in my hand here. A bag, sheet, or receptacle manufactured from material more commonly known as, it's going to change the paper.
We would change those pieces to paper. So what we want to do is use his single-use plastic carryout bag definition for our single-use plastic carryout bag definition, and then take the same verbiage and modify it to be applicable to paper.
And that's just the definition. We're not saying what we're going to do with
Only
it.
the
We're just
definition.
defining it.
We used to use paper bags for book covers.
Yep. And you still can. You still have them.
Seal, you remember that.
If there are any books left.
Because they don't use books anymore.
All right. So are we stalled here?
Arnie, were there other things you wanted to bring to our attention?
Before Arnie.
Yeah, just below it, the same thing with single-use plastic carryout bag. It's the same situation.
Right, so that's why we were gonna use that same definition. We're gonna basically take Lou Raynone's definition and put it here. And then take what was here and put it here, but make it applicable for paper.
So you're going to use it for both single-use paper carryout
And plastic.
Right.
and single-use
Change it as a
bags.
paper.
Two different definitions. We're going to use Raynone's wording for both of those.
Yes. If they're a little more time tested, I think it's smart.
All right, so.
What else,
Arnie?
Arnie?
Anything else?
I have a question on beginning just below that about the 10 cents per bag. Is there a end date for that? Like it's going to be 10 cents, at least 10 cents a bag, or does that go away at some time where we're going to require that no paper bags are allowed?
The fee is transition, if I understand well.
I'm just asking if that's part of what's going to happen.
Yeah, keep scrolling. It should sunset in 6 months or a year or something.
Yes.
Now, this version, see, that's the big question, really, or a big question.
This doesn't have an end.
Yeah, I did not see it in there.
Does Raynone's have it sunset?
No, I don't think so.
That's a big difference.
Let me go look up Jackson, Wyoming.
Yeah, it doesn't end. His either.
Do we want it to end? That's the question.
I mean,
Of course.
So I think that's something that, not right now, but I think that's something that should be worked on, some wording, so that we will have an end to the paper bags.
Make a note. We'll put a pin on it when we do our edits. We'll make sure to put a comment there so we can address it as a group.
You could say beginning January 1, 2021 and ending December 31, 2022.
Yeah.
That would be 2 years.
We don't have that on here, so.
No, I think that was just Ted making a suggestion.
Well, it's almost 9, so let's go through with all the things that we need to mark, however perfunctory they may be, and Arnie and I will go and make the baseline edits, and then bring it back to the group for the next meeting so that we can go through everything, because it's getting late.
Can I make one more comment on page 3 there?
Yes.
Number 6 says each establishment shall be strongly encouraged. First, I don't like the sentence at all, because this is an enforcement document. An enforcement document should not have in it, we strongly encourage that you do something. It's either you do it this way, you're in violation. So strongly encouraging is wrong.
You wanted to say they shall educate.
Now the other part of it is, if you look at Raynone's, and you don't have to go through it, Raynone's ordinance says each establishment is strongly encouraged to. So is is a little softer, but I still don't like the word encourage. Shall means you have to encourage people. It's a definitive statement, the word shall.
Yeah.
But even having it as is strongly encouraged, how do you enforce strongly encouraged?
Exactly.
It's not a
To
doable thing.
have very specific training that is available, and all the employers, they will have to provide that training.
No, right there you said they will have to do it, but the ordinance doesn't say they have
Yeah,
to.
I know. It says encourage. Yeah.
I'm just coming from, I was in enforcement for 30 years, environmental compliance and enforcement for 30 years, and you just did not have an
I
ordinance.
think is
We encourage you to do this.
So just delete those words, be strongly encouraged too.
Just
delete
say,
those.
shall educate, and leave out strongly encouraged.
yes. What I was talking about, that if you say just educate, then they can interpret education as saying, hey, you have to do it. I'm educating you, period. And they will tell you, yes, I educated. So I think it has to be defined. What is the education? So there should be a training module that we should be able to give them, which I don't have.
That's fine. That takes it to another level. If there's something there that you have to take out the word encourage. You have to say they shall educate its staff if that's the way you want to do it.
Can I make a suggestion? One of the options might be, in Jackson, they charge 20 cents a bag, and 10 cents of that has to come back to the municipality to educate the public. What if we said the stores have to charge 20 cents a bag and they must use half of it to train their employees?
Oh, how do we control that?
People are gonna not be happy with 20 cents a bag, that's for sure.
Yeah, no.
Well, not only that, but I don't think our Raynone or the council is going to go for something like that.
Right.
I like the idea, but I just don't think it's something that's another thing that the stores have to keep track of that money and send it to the municipality, and it can be a mess doing something like that.
The population of Jackson might have a higher income than the population of Franklin.
I don't think so, because there's
I mean,
a lot of service work.
5 bags and you killed $1.
I think
That's the whole purpose. Don't buy them.
legally, the township can't take the money. They have to leave it with the store.
That's what I'm suggesting, the store use the money. Can I also suggest that just looked at the Jackson ordinance, they don't have a sunset provision either. I think we better find out from Raynone, is that enforceable? It may not be.
Oh, we can have a sunset provision, I'm sure.
Then you have to define what's gonna happen at the sunset.
Well, after
Then
bags are not allowed.
Yeah, then people would get fined, just like if they were using plastic bags, then they could get fined.
No, the point is that the stores can provide paper bags for purchase, either indefinitely or for a period of time while people get their reusable bags. Anjek suggests just for a period of time. The stores actually suggest banning paper bags the same time as single-use plastic bags. One less thing they have to provide.
All right, let's just leave it the way it is. Put in your time period and
I think we
move
make
on.
note that how education needs to occur is something that needs to be discussed.
Well, if that's going to do, if we're going to make it mandatory, educate their people.
So
You just can't say encourage them because that's a non.
I think the issue is you're trying to come up with some magic language that will cause people to do something or be educated or something, and maybe there's other ways to achieve that objective.
I think my is just to remove number 6, that whole sentence there, and people learn that recycling, that they can't use plastic bags, they're going to go away, and paper bags are going to cost them 10 cents to use them.
So you're moving to just remove number 6?
I would say yes.
Yeah, I could go along with that.
I
Me
go
too.
along with that too.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna go strongly random. Okay, delete it. Good to me.
Make a note, Arnie.
I squiggled through it.
Anyone else have anything else for page 3? Okay, last page, not a full page. Anything?
Right at the top there in number 2, it says after the written notice is given, it should be has been given.
Right.
I believe that's the appropriate grammar.
Yes.
Okay.
And the same thing on the next line, written warning notice has been given.
Yes.
All right. Grammar.
And then the very last thing, in number 9, it says this ordinance became effective for the purpose of calculating the provisions of section 6. And I go,
We just took out section 6.
which is the one that we just took out.
Right.
But even before we took it out, I don't know why it was section 6. I'm not sure exactly what it's referring to.
I think it was probably referring to 5.
So just delete that that last sentence.
Or after section 5.
Yeah, we just need to change it to 5. So just make a note.
Well,
So
effective for the purpose of calculating the provisions. Calculating, what are we calculating? I'm not sure.
I don't, because the other dates are hard dates. It doesn't say so many days after passage. Those are
then
hard
maybe
dates
we just
above.
delete this section.
Well, that provision was there when the start date was not firmly stated, and now it is firmly stated.
Yeah, I think
Just,
This
just
section.
delete number 9.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yep.
Delete number 9.
Okay.
You do need an effective date, though.
Yes, you do need an
Have that because we actually put in beginning this date.
January 1st, 2021.
So even if we don't pass okay, we're hoping.
We didn't have a firm date, so that's why that other one was in
Now
there.
we do.
Now we do.
You're right.
So it doesn't matter.
Right. Got it.
Well, actually, if you look at the end of renowns, which is what they have in just about every ordinance, or probably every ordinance, it says effective date, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as provided by law.
Ah, there you go.
I think that's what it is that we're looking for effective date.
Okay. All right. Cool.
We can
Yep.
swap that out now.
Have it take effect six months after publication and so forth, or you can specify a specified date. I think I put in a specified date as being clearer, but
We may need to roll that date out if we can't get this ordinance passed within the next month or 2.
Well, that whole, the date is going to be something that the council is going to do. That's not really something that's a concern of ours. They're going to do it when they're going to do it.
the council might choose the
Okay, I'm upping your access privilege to this file since you're already sharing it.
Well, I think, Stan, you may have to redo it after we make all these changes. So maybe let's wait to go through it.
Well, the idea beyond this resolution was that this is our wish list. So we are not in the resolution telling council what they should do and how. We are giving them high level list of plastic, single-use plastic that we envision to be eliminated.
If that's the case, then why aren't we including single-use cutlery and plates, as Arnie mentioned? If it's a wish list.
It's included in resolution. This is document that we release. We send copy to states, to counties, and so it's pretty much, this is not something that we negotiate with the council. Council takes this as advisory and they picks up whatever they want, because we have been debating what should we include in the ordinance, and then risking that they will take it off the table entirely, or they will work on it and then they will actually take the rain-on as a template. So that's how the idea of resolution came up, and we voted for that.
Yeah, you know, I don't have as good a memory as other people here, but what I had talked about was just having a bullet point list of a wish list, because that was my understanding what the mayor and council wanted from us, because they already had an ordinance that Raynone had written, and give them a bullet point list.
Yeah, the list is in the resolution, but it's more formal.
And who is this resolution going to?
It's listed at the bottom.
Yeah, so I'm not understanding. I don't understand why we're doing two different resolutions.
No, it's only one.
No, we've got the one that we just went over, and then yours.
That's not resolution, that's ordinance.
Well, it's written as a resolution with the whereases and everything.
No, that's the resolution, and the thing we're going over with you is the ordinance.
No. This is a resolution. It's what it says.
Yeah, this is the resolution.
Yeah, the before was ordinance.
The other one is the ordinance. The one we were editing was the ordinance.
This is written with the philosophy the same as we were writing when we were supporting the task force to stop the pipeline, right? So we wrote resolution, we sent copies to this organization, that, and you know, so this is what I think we can do to really voice out our opinion and make it as high as possible. And the bullet points, Arnie, as you mentioned, it's there.
No, Stan, you're right. I see what you've done here. I agree with you. But then I will go back to what Robin just said, and which was the reason that Rezwan and I voted against this way back when. Didn't vote against this, but voted against a motion that I made to include single-use plastic plates and cups. So we now have them in this resolution, and I go back to, if that's what we want, why aren't
because resolution is ours, it's not subject of approval of the council, while the ordinance is.
No, the ordinance that we did, you're right. We can do whatever we want with the resolution, but with the ordinance, with plastic plates and plastic cups in there, and we know already they are not going to accept this ordinance as is. So those are things that we can take out. But I've already been through that before, and there's no reason to go through it again.
We're submitting a resolution to the township. Are we also submitting a model ordinance?
Correct. We will be once we've landed in a final place with it.
Okay, and if we are submitting a model ordinance, why are we not including plastic plates and cups?
You weren't at the meeting that I did a motion to include those, Robin, and Rezwan and I voted to include them. Everybody else voted not to include them. That's the
Yeah,
reason
the,
that I'm saying
the-
that I will abstain from this because I believe we're not going far enough in our ordinance.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole problem is that the council is not contemplating us as the only creator of the ordinance, right? They want to take the reign on. And so as opposed to trying to draft something that is perfect from our viewpoint, we wanted to do something that we say, hey, you know, this is our wish list, and you take whatever you want. As opposed to, you know, because the drafting ordinance is quite of a heck of an effort.
Yeah, but
You
if,
draft an ordinance, it still has to go to Raynon for approval.
but we have drafted an ordinance, and if that ordinance is our wish list, why not put the plates and cups
Our
in?
other draft, we did have in here plastic food service product, and we were trying to define it. And what it ultimately came down to was, I believe there were concerns about, was it health issues? Somebody refresh my memory. What was the?
We also were contemplating that it could be done in stages. So we would have mild ordinance that would be followed by something stronger. And so it goes really into political decision, which we don't want to do, which we can't do.
Well, it's all political, a political decision. And it wasn't just my motion at that time, wasn't all about food. You just said, JJ, foodstuffs, whatever. I don't remember the word was. It was just about single-use plates and single-use cups. And again, you know, they're not gonna. Already got Raynon's, so I'm going to. Robin again. Why not have it in there? Just a statement. That's all it is. You're making a statement.
I don't think we wanted our ordinance to be a wish list. I think we wanted our ordinance to be something that's realistic to approve instead of an ordinance. And that we wanted the resolution.
Somebody has a ring.
Go ahead, Diane. Sorry, say that again.
I think we wanted the ordinance to be a realistic ordinance that we could maybe hope the council would approve, not be a wish list. That's why we decided to do the resolution, because we wanted the council to seriously take our ordinance into consideration. And if there's too many things in there that they would not, they're not going to do that. They're just going to go to Renault. So this was our alternative to Renault. Like ours much better than his. So the resolution is our wish list. The ordinance is not our wish list. It's what we really want them to pass.
So we have a 4-page document here, and we don't want it to be too long. So another one sentence is going to make it too long. That's my point.
No, I don't think it had anything to do with it being too long. I think it was about actually putting out a document they would accept. Yeah. And also making it clear our full intention. Right. And the resolution, our full intention, while the ordinance is kind of like, all right, we're going to work within the system, we're going to play ball with you, but here's where we're going to push to. At least that's how I'm understanding it.
All right, thank you. I wanted to understand the logic.
So did everybody get a chance to read Stan's resolution? Do we want to on it?
So there is some lingo at the beginning that is referring to the seriousness of the situation. And then in one of the paragraphs, I think it's lower, where it's our vision. I think that's what it is. Banning the one above is single-use plastic, such as carry-out bags, polystyrene foam, food service products, including beverage straws is a significant step in this effort.
Well,
The paragraph above is actually maybe the strong one.
from the council's point of view, why would you submit a resolution which calls for banning a lot of things and an ordinance which doesn't ban nearly so many things?
That's my thinking.
Because we have
Saying they have
had a dual stream of efforts.
And so you're saying they need to match?
Well, it would be consistent at least. I mean, I know the reason,
Then we need to make a decision as a group.
It makes sense to match. That's the point.
They should be concurrent, right?
So then we need to make a decision as a group.
Well, I think
Want
since
to
we got this,
include the cutlery utensils, the food clamshells, the plates, the cups, or not?
They're not in Lou's ordinance, are they?
No, and they're not in ours because we took them out because we had voted that we felt it wouldn't pass.
some are in Lou's ordinance, I think.
Not utensils.
Well, and besides, some of the point was it would be not unreasonable and single-use plastic utensils given away as part of an order. To ban them for sale as a separate item is a lot bigger a matter, and I don't think any jurisdiction has proposed that.
He has in his that only recyclable or compostable service provided by any establishment.
so can I propose, since we just kind of got this resolution today,
Yes.
we could just review it, because I just kind of scanned it once before the meeting. But yeah, and then with the updated language and just like do a one more review and then discuss it next time.
I'd like to motion that we include this plastic utensils section that is in Lou Rayno's version, because it
I thought it's here.
would address some of our issues.
Because plastic utensil is just disposable plastic for food service. So it's not deliberately stated, but it's included essentially.
The definition is,
Yeah, because if people are buying stuff to go and they're gonna eat, in the car, or they're gonna go someplace to picnic and everything, they're gonna need something.
We can add the lingo to state it more explicitly.
Have it in here under
Yeah, plates, cups, bowls, trays.
that's the definition, but what do we say about using it, selling it, distributing it?
Yes, so that's all about processing how the township wants to do it. We just envision the world without this. Whether there is a transition period that these things are for a fee, followed by ban, and how is it enforced, that's their business.
There, I see it there under number 2.
This needs to be a new line. Arnie, make a note.
Under what?
4.2, 4B2. Beginning January 1, no food service business shall provide gratis in Franklin Township any plastic food service product unless requested.
Did you say 2?
4B2.
Oh, 4B2.
Yeah, 2 paragraphs got smushed together. Guys, I'm gonna have to go. I'm sorry. It's just, I gotta take care of some other things, and this is important, and I kind of agree with Rezwan. Can we, you guys do some magic and we look at this next time when we're not.
I agree with
I agree with that too.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's already almost 20 after 9.
Yeah.
Motion to close the meeting?
Second.
Second.
We
Third,
didn't open it to the public.
Oh, we never opened.
There's
it.
no public, but
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
There is no public.
public bailed.
Let's acknowledge that at
Bob
least.
McBean maybe was hoping and waiting.
No, public is gone. All right.
Why do we leave the public to the end? Wouldn't it make more sense to say
Of
so
course
that?
it would.
What's that?
Because they need to have the ability to
Wants to comment on the previous.
Oh. Couldn't we just first check in and say, is there some issue you want to talk about that we're not going to talk about? And just, just to like expedite them. Anyway,
I'm gonna make a motion to open it to the public.
Second.
Get a second. All in favor? The public meeting is open.
All right.
All right.
No public. A motion to close.
I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
All right.
All in favor, say aye. All right.
Make a motion. Make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Second.
All right.
all in
In favor, show of hands.
Okay.